I know. You're getting that.
Yep, 40 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, folks. Tonight is the time set aside for the City of Shamokin Council meeting, November 8th, 2021, 7 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order and start with the pledge to the flag and a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. Please be seated. A roll call, Mr. Slaney.
Councilman Moreno.
Here.
Councilwoman Moyer.
Here.
Councilman Roten.
There.
And Mayor Brown.
Here, sir.
All present and accounted for.
Sarah. I told you this was the bad side.
Do we have any presentations for tonight?
No, sir.
Bids?
No, sir.
None. Correspondence?
No, sir.
Anybody has any comments?
Jesse Stormberger's Realty. My comment is on the section in regards to the 4 stipulations to give. I do believe that I don't work through COVID, struggled through COVID, were shut down through COVID, and those salaries were paid by their top tax dollars. They weren't given a bonus. They weren't given extra time. They weren't given, they were literally out of jobs or on unemployment, collecting 40% of their paychecks, while the employees that you want to give these bonuses to were gainfully employed and were working and collecting a paycheck. Some of those citizens lost their homes because they didn't have sufficient money to pay their property taxes that covered those salaries in Shamokin. So I would urge a no vote or a public hearing on those bonuses prior to enacting that as legislation tonight and giving out those bonuses.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Susan Zaner, 17 Bold Street. Terry till 3 gates were installed. The last 3 years, vandals have trespassed day and night on private city cemetery land with topsoil, stones, branches, and the land the bank is getting back. I contacted the Patsy steps are being side. Even dead trees have a value which do hold up the dirt bank. The steps are now giving way. Anno has tried to help and the police. I have identified these people. I have taken pictures of these people doing this so savage. Like I said, into the water from the top of this bank, the wall is at least 18 feet. They're in the water, 12 feet wide. Of stone. Piled on top, we're down now. You have any idea how we're going to stop it? You know that water is the most powerful natural force. At the top of the bank, they push down, that's evident. That's the 5th. When the water jumps the creek bank and starts going down Terrace Avenue, this is all on you. Every one of you up there. You're the one that let the ATVs in, and you're the ones that promised me that if anything happened to that bank, it would be repaired. Well, it's happening.
3-minute time limit. That's what we were just discussing here. Just how quickly to cut you off because we weren't actually keeping time.
Mayor, if I could just take a moment of your time. She did call me, and as representative of city council and as a constituent, I did meet with her. She did go over all these concerns. At this point, Mayor, as far as the soil erosion, we were all back there. That's been happening over years. I could not give the lady an exact answer. I mean, I don't know what to tell her. As far as the stone that she's referring to, Mayor, we've had a lot of heavy rain. There is some into the creek. Again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a professional. I answered her the best I could. The part about the trees being cut down, she showed me a gentleman's picture. I am not a police officer. I told her, contact the police. I spoke with both Ray and Officer Tyler Bischoff. They told me they did not know the man in the picture, and there was no call when he was doing this. So I've answered every single complaint. She had one legitimate complaint, which she didn't mention, which I wish she would have, because I did help her out. There's a burned out house on Gold Street that's been there for several years. And when I did go up to look at it, I'm sorry, Scott, you weren't in town, but I went up and I answered it. I saw it. It was in bad shape. I immediately left Mr. Reed, Mr. Slavy, and the mayor know about it. And since then, for all you people that don't believe me, there was an article in the newspaper, the City of Shamokin Police Department, fresh charges against the owner. So as far as I'm concerned, I've done my job. As far as the AOA mayor, there was a vote taken, and I explained to her, there'll be a new council and a mayor coming in. If they feel they want to return the vote, that's up to them. I cannot, I'm one vote. I can't overturn the majority. So, and I'm not being rude to Mrs. Zahner, but I felt I should address these issues. She contacted me, so thank you very much. That's all I got. And if any news item wants anything, I have it documented.
As long as we put up Patsy's steps, do we have anybody go and get an estimate on the repairs?
You know what, I didn't even get to talk to him about that right now. I know Scott mentioned it. Again, Mayor, we're probably gonna have, like Scott said, get a professional to look at that and get some quotes. Okay. Did you do something about that?
No.
Okay, so I did not, I admit I did not do that, but that's gonna probably be a professional engineer, John. I don't believe the city street department can handle that.
Oh, no, I was figuring
Yeah.
it was a contract job.
If you want, I'll
The
have,
rebar is sticking out the side of it.
yes, if you want, I'll get Bob and Kevin to call one of the masonry, get a couple quotes for us if you want me to. I can gladly do that. Okay?
Any other citizens? None? Okay, bear with us, please, here. Motion to accept the minutes of the City of Shamokin Council meeting, August 9th, 2021, a regular city council.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Anyone on the question? Roll call, Mr. Slade.
Councilman Moreno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Seidel,
Yes.
Councilman Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, sir.
Motion carries.
Okay, next one, motion to accept the minutes of the City of Shamokin Council meeting, September 13th, 2021, a regular city council meeting.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Anyone on the question? Roll call.
Councilman Moreno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Seidel,
Yes.
Councilman Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
Motion to accept the minutes of the City of Shamokin Council meeting, October 11th, 2021.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Anyone on the question? Bob, on the question, since we've lost our Doreen, will these also be added? Can we put them on the city's Facebook page or
Yes.
the city website, whichever?
We'll do that tomorrow. I'll get that stuff there.
Those will also be there for if anybody wants to look at them.
And also, there are 2 more months, which we'll have in the month of December.
Okay, getting caught up.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
Motion to approve the bills from the October 2021 as listed on your bills.
I'll second it.
Probably moved and seconded. Any questions, folks? Roll call, sir.
Councilman Verano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sidell,
Yes.
Councilman Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Director's report, Council of Finance.
Yes, this is the treasurer's report from the month of October 2021. Total general fund balance is $346,591.02. Total motor license balance, $178,195.13. Total library balance, $83,506.89. Total capital projects balance, $369,795.40. Total sinking fund number one balance, $184,167.16. Total sinking fund number two recreation balance, $188,510.73. Total street lighting balance, $6,147.64, for a total balance in all accounts to November 1st, 2021 of $1,356,913.97, respectfully submitted by Treasurer Glenn Scambo.
Welcome.
Sit there.
Thank you. Parks, Public Building.
We have our tree planting coming up on November 13th. And I got a call from Kevin today. I just wanted to thank him to make sure that the project came full circle. We had a lot of issues about what we do here in town. Kevin wanted everybody to know that the trees were all donated. They were not paid for by the city. They were all donated. The compost that they're using, it's actually from leaves they picked up throughout the city and had composted, so they're gonna fill the ground with that. And the wood chips that are going to protect the root balls were actually taken from the trees that were taken out of Independence Street and chipped. So he wanted everyone to know that they tried to make this a project as was planned by the tree tenders, and they used all locally sourced stuff that we didn't have to pay for. We recycled what we have. So I just want to thank Kevin and the street department. There were some sketchy moments getting those trees, and they are picked up and they are ready to go. I also want to thank them because we're coming into the holiday season, and with all the events that we have going on, it gets crazy in this town, and they stay on top of it and they make sure that they get everything where it's supposed to be. We couldn't do what we do in this town without the street department and Kevin. So thank you, Charlie, for everything that they do. And then, of course, because it's us, we'll probably throw some snow into it just to see what happens. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Streets, public improvements.
Mayor, I don't have a lot, but I just want to cover one item that I forgot when Mrs. Zaner was speaking about the trees that are down. Them trees came down during them heavy rainstorms, and my men were all spread out across the city trying to protect property. They were not able to get to them trees. So you called Mr. Porzy, and his men were dispatched, and they took care of the situation. So there are some trees laying back there, but they're not disrupting anything. So I just want to clarify that. Nobody chopped them down. They came down during the storm, but we were not able to get to them because, again, my guys were tied up. So just to clarify that, because she was right, but she didn't understand. And you asked Mr. Porzy, you called me and you said they drug them off the path and made it safe.
And I haven't been back, Charlie, but I would guess the majority of them were only
Yes.
removed from the city's right of way. The
Correct.
ones that are still there are
Correct.
probably on the private
You're exactly
property of
right.
somebody else.
You're
and not our
exactly right.
responsibility.
So some of the issues also, Mayor, that you were referring to is on cemetery property, and that was discussed before. It has nothing to do with the city of Shamokin. And I also would say this too, that the AOAA, she's, criticizing. I was back there, Mayor. There's a lot less garbage back there right now than there was when me and you and Scott and all were back there, believe me. So, and I'm not putting a plug in for anybody. I just want everybody to know that. So that's all that's it, man.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Public safety.
Start with the fire reports. I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest version because I'm like,
Code office, total revenue collected,
for the month of October was $11,830.70. There were 111 complaints addressed, those 13 open, 13 total tickets, 13 notices of violation sent, 9 landlord inspections, and 9 properties posted unfit. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Raymond J., you want to handle Lion Chief?
Sure, Mayor.
Sorry about that. You can Raymond.
For the month of October, juvenile petitions filed were 2, criminal arrest and complaints were 25, traffic citations were 20, non-traffic citations were 7, parking citations were 75. There was 5 written warnings issued, 4 parking tickets. Officers handled 689 dispatch calls, patrolled 3,081 miles, issued 111 sweeper tickets and 15 code tickets. And also, as the mayor mentioned at the workshop, November 1st to I believe April 15th, under ordinance, no trailers can be permitted on the streets. And if anyone has any questions in reference to that, the secretaries of the police department have a Facebook page up for the police department. And we put that ordinance on this morning. So if people have any questions, they can see it. If there's any issues, just call the police department. I'll try and help you out the best I can.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
That was my public service announcement also, is the trailers have to be off the street. It causes issues for the snow plowing and things like that. Sweeper route will be done. This is the final full week, but not
It'll be the
for
Wednesday.
Veterans Day
Yeah.
this week. And the next one only goes until Wednesday with the
Thanksgiving.
holiday
They have
then.
7 more.
Then sweeper route
7 more
will be
days.
done, folks. Bear with us, and
Yeah.
like I said, with the trailers, get them off the streets. The police are gonna be going around as they see them
Yeah.
and putting tickets on them until they get removed. It's not a new ordinance. It's nothing we came up with. I think the ordinance has been on the books since at least 92 when I got here.
I just read it today. It was 92.
All right, see the Coggers.
Aaron, you wanna go first?
Sure, I don't have much, so. From last week, so your CDBG application for fiscal year 21 was submitted on October 28th, and there seems to be no issues. So that should be good to go. The ER for 118, 122 East Independence Street cleared on November 4th. Me and Linda talked to the engineer on Friday, and we're going to, our first advertisement will be the 11th. The bids are gonna be opened on the 23rd, and as long as everything is up to specs and labor standards look good, then at the December meetings, you guys should be able to award the contract for that demolition.
What was that again?
Linda was trying to happen.
What's
Glad you got that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Linda, that's for sure.
and then, can I give the new section 3 action plan, which is on the new business?
Number 1.
Just an update, the federal regulations updated last year, they go back, this month. So it's on new business as well, so if you have any questions about it, so. That's all I have for it.
You passing it off to veterans.
She's on the trouble side.
Tina Cobb is flanking you tonight. I have lots to share.
Hey, well, 3 minutes.
It's all good. The H&H, the hydrologic and hydro 14th, and the study should conclude early spring 2022. Actually, it's supposed to conclude February of 2022, but barring any weather issues, early spring. Also, another huge project that we're working on with the city is the new comp plan and zoning book rewrite. This evening, you will be approving, or hopefully approving, H&H study is completed, then we can start working on your new comp plan, which will take 12 months, addressing in a little bit about that. Also, the EPA community-wide brownfield assessment grant, I'll be putting out for bid this month to get the city a qualified environmental professional, a QEP, To assist with that, you have an environmental sustainability plan that we are looking to get AmeriCorps Vista for the city. That person will work full to start next August for a year. There is a fee for that, $4,800, but Bucknell will cover that fee, so there won't be any fee for the city. Also, the city will be given a energy manager, so I'll be meeting with Bob Slavy on Friday. You are coming down, thank goodness. So that finally cleared, should look like. There will be a public component. That project has to be done by end of calendar year next. So I believe those are my main things I wanted to hit tonight, and then also that the city was awarded another $50,000 facade grant. So the information is available on the city website. And does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Is there a cost to the city for the comprehensive plan and zoning book rewrite, hiring the firm?
No. No, we were able to get it's called an EDCDI grant through DCED, Economic Development, Community Development Initiative. So we were able to get a $50,000 grant for that. There's no fee for us putting together the RFQ, which is a request for quotations. There's also no cost, don't tease. There's no cost. We're putting it out, and then we'll also analyze it. And for that, we'll also have some people from the city help look over the applicants when it comes in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else up here that they will have anything to mind this? New business, folks, as there's a pile again. I'll go quickly as I possibly can. There are a couple that I have questions on. I'm guessing some of you will have questions also, so stop me before I run into a wrap up. Request a motion to adopt the updated CDBG Section 3 Action Plan.
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions? Roll call.
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mr. Rowan,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously.
Request a motion to allow CEDA, Council of Governments, CEDACOG, for zoning update, comprehensive plan, and zoning rewrite on behalf of the city of Shamokin.
Second, yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mr. Rowan,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. If you want to go right into roll call without me.
That's fine.
Request a motion for consideration of CEDACOG professional and administrative services agreement to calculate revenue loss for the city as allowed under the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount not to exceed $1,500. CEDACOG shall be compensated by the city for its services based on $375 per each revenue loss calculation. Total cost for these services shall not exceed $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mr. Rowan,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously.
Request a motion to allow God's Chuck Wagon to host Christmas in July at Claude Kaler Park, Saturday, July 23rd, 2022, from 10 to 7 p.m.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Rowan, and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries 4 yeas, one abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to hold an event at Claude Kaler Park on Saturday, June 4th, 2022, from 6 to 9.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event at Claude Kaler Park on Saturday, June 18, 2022, 6 to 9.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Properly moved and seconded. Any questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries. 4 yeas, 1 nay.
Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event, Claude Kaler Park.
Excuse me, Mayor, I said 1 nay. That's supposed to be 1 abstention.
Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event, Claude Kaler Park, Wednesday, June 22, 2022, from 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Properly moved and seconded. Anyone on the question?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries. 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event at Claude Kaler Park on Saturday, July 2nd, 2022, from 4 to 11 p.m. approximately until the end of the fireworks display, with a rain date of when the fireworks will be held.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries. 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
Request a motion to suspend the open container ordinance for the event at Claude Kaler Park on Saturday, July 2nd, 2022, from 4 to 11 approximately until the end of the fireworks display with the rain date of when the fireworks will be held.
So moved, Mayor.
Looks like we're gonna die for lack of a second, folks.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
No.
Mayor Brown.
No.
Okay, we have 2 yeas, 1 abstention, and 2 nays. Therefore, the situation is deadlocked. Am I correct, Solicitor?
That is correct.
So with that in mind, the subject is null and void.
Right?
Go ahead, sir.
Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event at Claude Kaler Park, Wednesday, July 13th, 2022, from 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event at Claude Kaler Park on Saturday, July 16th, 2022, from 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Properly moved and seconded. Any questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
Request a motion to allow Music in the Park to hold an event at Claude Kaler Park, Saturday, July 30th, 2022, 6 to 9.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, One abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to hold an event like Taylor Park on Saturday, August 13th, 2022, 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved, Mayor.
Second
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
that, yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, one abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to hold an event, Claude Taylor Park, Wednesday, August 17th. Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
the motion carries. 4 yeas, one abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to hold an event, Claude Taylor Park, Saturday, August 27th, 2022, 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second that,
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, one abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to hold an event, Claude Taylor Park, Saturday, September 10th, 2022, 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Properly moved and seconded. Questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, one abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to hold an event, Claude Taylor Park, Sunday, September 18th, 2022, 6 to 9 p.m.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second it,
Properly moved and seconded.
Mr. Verano,
Any questions? I'm guessing.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries. 4 yeas, one abstention.
Request a motion to allow music in the park to host Music in the Park Fall Festival, Claude Taylor Park, Saturday, October 22, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second that,
Properly moved and seconded. Any questions?
Mr. Verano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries. 4 yeas, one abstention. Ouch.
Request a motion to suspend the open container ordinance for the Music in the Park Fall Festival event, Claude Taylor Park, on Saturday, October 22, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the specified event corridor for alcoholic beverages sold within that corridor.
I'd like to table that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's appropriate for me, but I just,
That's fine.
Request the table.
Wonderful.
Okay. Hold on.
Take your time.
Okay, go ahead.
Request a motion to allow Covered Bridge Brew House to host shenanigans on 8th Street on Saturday, March 12th, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. on 8th Street.
Yes.
so you're making a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Where should I put that?
Count me as a yes.
Put me
down.
You got your second.
Yeah, she's like,
Okay. Any questions?
Sorry, Bob.
Yes. Is this correct? 12 a.m.? Like midnight? Must be midnight. I'm saying that it's midnight. That's the way I'm thinking.
yeah, I would assume you're right.
13 hours.
I mean, in March, I could be
You know what, Mayor?
out there in the blizzard.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'll take that back then. I didn't know that time was 12. 13 hours. Can we clarify the time before we do anything with
We can and deal with it
Yeah.
next month.
I'd like to take that back. Let's clarify the time. 13
So,
hours is a long
Be sure
time.
to make a note. Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking through the agenda, every one of them is 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. Just to make you all aware of that before I read 24 more motions.
Are they all on the table because of the time frame?
I think they
Can we do
should.
that as a bulk one for me?
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier than I'd be here forever.
And Mayor, until you clarify the exact time, I take
Okay.
13 hours is a long
Is
time.
that all right with everybody here on council?
That's probably the normal. I'm
I
assuming.
think that's what they've been doing
Right?
so far. They walk the street about 11 in the morning and then sweep the street at midnight.
13 hours.
So we're going to table the remainder
If that's the wishes of council.
until it's clarified.
Did you get clarification on the exact time, yes?
About this
13
end.
hours drinking.
Scott, you okay with that?
Long time.
Yes.
Long time.
Okay, Sarah, clarify for the next workshop.
Okay, that gets me through 2 pages.
No, actually,
I'm going. All right.
That's a long.
That takes us all the way down to Jimmy Philco, folks.
Who?
Jimmy Philco, last page.
Yes.
Unless anybody can see on here that we're missing one. I think everything else was approved. Oh,
This is just.
yeah. Okay, right.
Go ahead, sir.
Request a motion to accept Officer James Philco's resignation from the City of Shamokin Police Department effective November 19th, 2021.
So move, Mayor.
Properly moved and second. Anyone on the question? Roll call, sir.
Mr. Moreno,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimous.
Good luck and best wishes, James. Thank you for your time.
Next one, Mayor.
Okay, next one are gonna be all of the ARPA funds for the employees. I guess I have to read one before I have a question. All right, request a motion to allow full-time employees, including full-time police officers who work through COVID, to receive a $5,000 bonus per employee.
Is that just current employees, Mayor?
Yeah, and that was gonna be one on my question also.
Okay.
The, Bob and Eamon have been working up at City Hall to get a list together of who all this would include and approve. The list is not currently ready.
That's correct.
But the agenda had to be put together before we had it. It is, the ARPA funding has to list, I'm looking at you, essential personnel when we do this, so that should also be remembered. I don't know, you want to table the next 4, you want to vote on the next 4? I just looked at it, Betsy and I talked before the meeting, because we don't have an exact list of who's getting what, to just blanket vote to do this.
Table.
I don't think that's fair. I think we should table it to get the exact thing. Count and everything.
Okay.
And Mayor, if I can also ask a question also.
Sure.
Leave the public know, just so they understand. When we had this meeting with CEDACOG, just so everybody understands, I asked for paving of streets, can't do it. Scott came in a little bit late, he had to work. I asked if we can get a fire apparatus, piece of fire equipment, said can't do it. There's specific criteria that we have to follow. That's why we came up with something like this. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the idea, but again, I know we need streets paved and I know we need a piece of fire apparatus, but we couldn't use the money for that. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's I guess the terms and conditions.
Yes, the
aren't
terms and
fully
conditions are
finished
very,
yet, And they're very specific. We can't just use them for anything. They can't be dumped into the general fund to avoid us having to raise tax, to bump the taxes by 5 mils again in court. This is one of the things that other municipalities have found they can do. Sunbury did $1,000 to $2,000. I think I talked to somebody in Bloomsburg town, $12,000.
Yeah.
There are other communities that have already called us to see if we're gonna pull the pin, that they're gonna follow us and do the same thing with us. But again, from talking to Betsy out in the hallway and talking to Bob a little bit before the meeting, the actual list of who gets what is not completed yet. If you just want to do just a blanket and allow it to Bob, that's fine. If you want to push it, like Bob talked about, he said we have 4 more meetings in the next 40 days here, if we wanted to just push it off.
Mayor, I don't think that would be fair. I think we need to know who we're voting on and make sure it's done the appropriate way. That's how I feel. I don't feel comfortable
The
just
list-
voting
We
blanket.
will finish the list. and
Yes.
Eamon and I, along with Brenda, we will put this list together.
Mhm.
You will have it within the next couple of days.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Because
I just think it'd be fair.
well, I don't want to be the Scrooge that delivered a bonus on December 29th.
Yeah, but you want to be fair. You want to
Yes.
be fair. And if we
Well,
don't have
I-
the list ready, I'm not gonna vote on it. It's
Oh,
just
I
not
don't
right.
mind you.
It's not right.
You should run me on Shamokin.
That's right.
If I try giving you a list that's.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
have to be fair.
For
I want to make sure it's
For
right.
those of you who are expected to vote tonight, I apologize, but we are not prepared to do it the right way right now. I will insist that it goes back on another agenda because I think it's important to our folks.
I have no issue with that, but I don't think it's fair to do it tonight.
I agree. Well, good. That kills the next 4. Anybody have anything else they need to throw on here that you really can't because of the new rules from the government? Any unfinished business? Why do we have unfinished business on here if you're not allowed? You're not allowed to bring anything up that's not on the agenda anyway. Business on here if you're not allowed. You're not allowed to bring anything up that's not on the agenda anyway.
I'm gonna ask that.
Okay. Boards and committees.
We'll make sure that disappears.
That's just a thought. The request a motion to reappoint Edward Manning, whose term expires December 31st, 2021 on the IDA board. I think he actually expired. He was September. I think that should be September. Yes.
That appointment is for 5 years.
Yes, 5 years. So properly moved,
Who made the motion?
Scott.
I'll second that.
seconded by Charlie. Anyone on the question? If Bob, if we could clarify that, if it's a September appointment, to make sure so the terms run correctly.
Mr. Brenham,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I abstain.
Mr. Roten,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The motion carries 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
Solicitors report,
I've never heard from.
wonderful. Citizens comments? If you got them, let us have them. Try and keep in mind, 3 minutes. Frank's not really keeping it in this meeting, but 3 minutes. I hate to interrupt anybody.
I'm requesting for a little bit of extra time. I've got a bunch of little flyers to go over here, but my name is Jesse Stormgallon, Brokers Realty, and reviewing the city ordinance was a 1-page ordinance that says that the Shamokin adopts a property maintenance ordinance and building ordinance code. Does not specify anything, and I looked online and we've looked in the office today, and we can't find anything. It's called property maintenance code, which is what was adopted. Our current code enforcement officer is using an IPMC, which is the International Property Maintenance Code. This came out at the beginning of 2001 in January. He's using a different version. What I wanted to bring to the attention of council is an article written by Penn Live, basically stating city can't cite landlord for violating code if never adopted in PA court rules. So good article for council to read, because currently the code that is being enforced, there is no code book on, there's no property maintenance code. And then if I draw your attention to City of Williamsport versus Daffarel, there were several different cases. Some of those cases went all the way to Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Case number 65 CD 2016 basically stipulates by the Supreme Court as a threshold, we must first determine whether or not Williamsport even is able to charge Daffodil with a violation of 2015 version of the maintenance code. Daffodil argues Williamsport never adopted the 2015 maintenance code, goes on and really cites that the Supreme Court lays out that they have to specifically cite what code, and that code book has to be available to the public to be enforceable, which we don't have at this point in time at Shamokin. So we need to really make an agenda to adopt, physically adopt, if we're gonna use the International Property Maintenance Code, to adopt that code, if that's what we're gonna do.
It's not a link page?
There is not a link on the webpage for a property maintenance code, which is what was adopted back when Mayor prior to you. The Supreme Court then in Williamsport versus the same guy's name, Darrenfeld, in 2017, basically came down and cited that moreover, constitutional section 1101.813 period 13 of the third class city code of Williamsport, we would inadvertently face a constitutional problem under the non-delegation doctrine 161A3D 827 2017 Pennsylvania Supreme Court and Assembly Constitution basically stipulated in this section that unless the actual code is adopted with the version code, that there is no way for a city to adopt the International Property Maintenance Code and all future renditions, because under that ruling, the city would be giving the International Property Maintenance Code unduly extension of to change rules, adopt new rules, and change rules without a vote by city council or by the state. So we need to actually adopt the physical version that we're going to use per the Supreme Court. And then when it comes down to adopting an actual IPMC, there are many cities and states like this one that sued, where property owners sued city, claim unfair enforcement of building code, because this code book, again, is an international property maintenance code. So there are things in Pennsylvania that are deemed different than what this company is deeming for across the world. So there are certain rules, laws, and regulations that we adopt as personal property that this book says should be or shouldn't be in there. And so this book, the IPMC, is not meant to be adopted word for word. It's meant to be used as a guide by municipalities, states, and areas to adopt their own legislation, and use this book as a guide to craft and draft your legislation, and then make amendments and to your legislation as the time goes on. Because just like in this book with winter maintenance, it says from date to date. So if we're adopting the book and everything is left blank on date to date, are we printing our own version of IMPC to use so that those dates are filled in? So again, it's meant to be used as a guide for us to craft legislation to protect our community. That's all I have, other than showing that the IPMC has been suing people for just printing this book out and not buying it because it is copywritten, and for suing companies and municipalities for printing copies and handing it out to the public. And they've won that case on their copyright protection. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Unless there's any questions from the council.
I don't get their questions. I hear what you're saying. I also hear what you said this afternoon.
I think they're discussing. Yeah, thank you for just, no, sorry, Jim. Anyone else, folks? Okay, hearing nothing else.
Mayor, actually, I have one thing. I was going to speak tonight about democracy and the will of the people, but I wouldn't be speaking from my heart at this point. What I will say is that I believe that God has a plan for me. He always has. And the only time it seems to not work out is when I fail to listen to what he's saying to me. This last week made me realize I'm not listening to God again, and the only person who can make that right is me. I have faithfully served the people of this community with the best intentions for the last 2 years. And while I enjoy my time on city council and love being able to help people, I do not like who I've become. I used to be happy. I used to have a positive outlook on life. I gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I believe that deep down, almost all people were truly good at their core. Slowly, those qualities, the very things that make me me, that make me who I am, have begun to fade away. And I don't want to. Politics is an ugly business, and I did not realize the toll it would take on my well-being and the personal relationships in my life. But again, the only person who can change that is me. It is with a heavy heart, but a very clear conscience, that I am resigning from Shamokin City Council effective December 31st, 2021. I thank the citizens of this city for giving me this opportunity, and I especially thank God for showing me that this is not where I am supposed to be. And while the laughing is going on, this is exactly what I'm talking about, and that's okay, because I want to stand up and say this. I want to publicly apologize to my husband, my daughters, my mother, my family and friends for the nightmare that their life has become while I was trying to do good for the citizens in this city. They did not deserve any of this. And my biggest regret is what this has done to them. I thank them for their support and their love over these last 3 years, but they are everything to me. And no elected position, no campaign, no headline in the newspaper is worth losing any of them. So, thank you. Do you need that motion, Richard?
Prior to the motion to adjourn, folks, we are currently having police testing in this room. We had to put the room together for this meeting. I have to put the room back together for the testing to continue Thursday. So please, if you want to loiter and talk, we'll do it in the hallway so we can get this room prepped to go back together. I don't have a lot of time to sit here tonight and wait for you to get done until we leave. Anyone else? A motion to adjourn. Proper motion. We're adjourned at 10:08.